Calming babies for photo sessions has become second nature for me over the years. I have photographed well over 3,000 babies now, so as you can imagine, a lot of different temperaments in that lot of individuals. So the things that I do most of the time, for most of my sessions, for almost all of my sessions I should say, is that I start with baby swaddled, and babies really love being swaddled. Sometimes parents may not think that their baby loves to be swaddled, but they haven't met me yet and they haven't been swaddled by me yet, so we always give it a try. And if a baby really doesn't like being swaddled, we can deal with that, but most of the time they are using reflexes, the startle reflex, or pushing on the walls of the swaddle as a reflex, and that is just part of what they do as little babies. That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't like the swaddle, but when a swaddle isn't wrapped quite as snug as I like it, then they can escape from it, and it can seem like they are unwrapping themselves, right? So I start with a nice snug swaddle, but gives them, some room to move, and that reminds them of being in the womb, and it's nice and cozy and loving, and usually that's all it takes. But some babies do need a little bit more. Certainly babies do cry during sessions from time to time, so some of the other techniques I use are things like walking around the studio, simple as it sounds, but that act of walking, again, reminds them of being in the womb, and as you would, a pregnant person would walk around, they are used to that movement, and swaying from side to side sometimes when I do that. So I'll walk around. We also use a shusher in the studio, so I'll turn that on for a little bit of white noise, and just give it time and patience. So even if I have a baby that is just not having it, a lot of times those three things put together will really work the magic. Sometimes there's other stuff going on, and always I look for cues from baby to see, are you hungry? Maybe there's some gas that needs to get out. So listening for those cues or watching for those cues to see if there's something else that needs to be addressed. But if there's nothing else that's going on that needs to be addressed, then usually those three things are kind of the recipe for success when it comes to soothing babies. Making sure they're comfortable in that wrap, giving them some white noise, and then giving them some movement until they get into a really sleepy state, and we can start posing and doing different wraps from there. Because once they're asleep, they're a little bit more able to be repositioned if they get into a nice deep sleep. So taking care of the essentials like diaper changes and feeding, and then getting into those techniques. And usually that's what I do to soothe your babies, and give it as much time as we need, and get all your different setups photographed, and make sure that they're happy and comfortable for the whole time.